And you're welcome back. You're watching News Central TV, and this is Breakfast Extra. It's time for us to get into our another big story for this time around, and this one is very, very huge.
Now, this is interesting. Now, in 1996, Pfizer was involved in a controversial clinical trial in Kano related to the antibiotic Trovan. The trial was conducted during a meningitis outbreak, and there were allegations that Pfizer did not obtain proper consent and that the trial led to the deaths of some of the participants, which included over 200 children. Now, some of them actually passed, while others were left with disabilities, some mute, while others had hearing defects. Now, the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Aondoakaa, has denied being involved in the negotiations of compensation between the Kano State government and the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer for the deaths and also permanent disabilities of the meningitis drug trial victims.
He joins us not to tell us more. He joins us now to tell us more about the incident and matters arising after 24 years. Please welcome Mr. Aondoakaa as a former Attorney General of the Federation.
Good morning, sir. Welcome on News Central.
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me this morning on your program.
Great.
Let's begin by first getting the scope of the Pfizer test in 1996 and how it affected the participants of the test during that time. Over 200 of them. What was the scope and how has their life been?
Well, basically, this thing, the matter started and the tests were conducted in Kano State, and the victims' unwarranted test, unverified test, was done in Kano, and the victims were people in Kano, and Kano State government reacted immediately. They instituted two cases. One criminal case against the directors of Pfizer, and then a civil case again against Pfizer officials claiming damages. But essentially, this was done by Kano State government. But when they ran into difficulties because the directors of Pfizer in a criminal case has already left the country in apprehension that they will be arrested. They approached Mr. President, President Yaradua, for assistance, and that directly came to my office as Attorney General to ensure that the directors, through mutual legal assistance treaty between us and the United States, because the directors were based in the United States, and they through obtaining them, arrest of them through Interpol. That is where we, federal government, came in. And we did all we could to assist Kano State government by writing to the government Attorney General of the United States to the mutual legal assistance treaty requesting for arrest and handover of the directors for prosecution in Nigeria. We also got an arrest through the arrest warrant issued, and from the arrest warrant, the Office of Attorney General communicated that arrest to Interpol through the Office of Inspector General to ensure that the Interpol arrest those directors that were directly involved in the inhuman test of those drugs.
Okay, sir.
That is the extent in which we came in.
Okay, sir. So now the case went to court, but eventually was settled out of court. There's a sum of $75 million that was paid, $35 million to victims, $30 million to, if I'm not mistaken, to the state, which is being used, which was supposed to be used for development of hospitals, and then 10,000 legal fees that was to be paid back to Kano State. But let's get an idea of exactly who represented Kano State in court, who represented the federal government, who represented Pfizer.
No, federal government precisely did not have a case against Pfizer. Let's make it clear. But federal government came in because without the federal attorney general, a state does not have direct dealings with another country. It has to come through the federal government and federal, we have a mutual legal assistance treaty. We then invoked the mutual legal assistance treaty.
Okay.
In this case, the United States had mutual legal assistance treaty, and the Office of Attorney General was the central authority.
Okay.
And the Office of the Attorney General of the United States was also the central authority in the treaty to invoke. So what Kano State did is to get us involved, to get involved in the mutual legal assistance treaty, and also get the Federal Minister of Justice, the Office of Attorney General, involved in the arrest of those directors who were on the run through the use of Interpol. Of course, Kano State were represented by the former vice president, a very competent lawyer who was their lawyer in both civil and criminal matter. But we needed to give a fiat to them because the only way you could get an arrest warrant of such nature was coming from the Federal Attorney General. That's where it could be recognized. So we issued the fiat to the Honorable former Vice President Osabanjo, because he was then a private lawyer. He has left office as Attorney General of Lagos State, and he was a private lawyer. So for him to prosecute on behalf of the state, he needed a fiat, and that is exactly what the role I played as an Attorney General.
Okay. Who was you said the Vice President. We just need to be certain because there's so many Vice Presidents, past Vice Presidents. Which Vice President?
I said former Vice President Osabanjo, former Vice President Osabanjo, Yemi Osabanjo. He was the lawyer to Kano State government in both cases, in the criminal and in the civil matter they instituted against Pfizer.
The settlement, when they sued in the civil suit against Pfizer, the victims, they went for a $1 billion settlement. But out of court dealing, they came down to being awarded $30 million, not in hundreds, but $30 million. Why such a small amount? Because at total, it came to $70 million.
You see, the problem is this. Okay. First, federal government was not involved in the negotiation. If you have a letter in my custody, luckily you also, with a copy is in your possession. I was shocked also when I heard an international journalist trying to bring me inside. I was well shocked. The issue involved Kano State government. Our responsibility to support Kano State get justice by arresting the directors to stand trial and ensuring that is in a criminal trial. But of course, it's criminal trial that led to them trying to settle this matter, because without the criminal trial, they were out of jurisdiction.
Okay.
In the civil matter, it would have been difficult to serve them. But in the criminal trial, we had mutual legal assistance treaty, and that's where the Office of Attorney General came in.
Okay.
We also had the Interpol. It was much easier bringing them to justice in Nigeria through the criminal trial, and then Kano can go ahead and pursue their civil case.
Okay, so
the federal government never got involved. If you see the contents of that letter,
sir, I
one
want
surprising thing is
ask
that
a question regarding something that you just said. You just said that they tried to bring you in. There's sources that tell that that Pfizer, the pharmaceutical company, actually hired investigators to dig up dirt on the Attorney General, in this case yourself at the time. What did they find exactly?
What happened was that the case initially was struck out by the judge, Justice Ademola, who was then, I think, was the presiding justice around Kano, the Federal High Court, where they sought to get an arrest warrant through the Federal High Court. And when I came in, this matter started before me under my predecessor, Chief Bayojo. So when I came in, there was need for me to revalidate the fiat given to our respected Yemi Osabanjo. And there was a lot of pressure, even from Pfizer, that I should not grant the fiat. And I felt that it was morally wrong for me to say the issue should die. This pressure came even within the Ministry of Health, that Pfizer has been supporting the Ministry of Health. But I stood my ground and I had the support of the president, then the president Aondoakaa, to do the right thing. And that's where Pfizer went on their way trying to dig anything they could find against me. Of course, if it was a matter that directly involved the federal government, then and the extent, we are practicing a federation. So we were to act within the extent of requests by the federal Kano State government. If the Kano State government was actually trying to say we should handle the matter because Kano is part of the federation, we would have done in a different way. Because what we felt Pfizer did was disgraceful, inhuman, but Kano went on their own wave, set up their committees. If you see the letter was just informing. Incidentally, the Office of Attorney General was a federal Attorney General that was actively involved. If you see what Kano said, it is the foregoing is for your record.
Sir.
That's all.
Sir.
They did not expect me to get involved.
Sir, on the settlements so far, on the settlements that it went from $1 billion and then settled at 75, with 35 million going to the victims, 30 to hospitals, and 10 more million. How have this money been used? Have the victims been able to have access to it? Have the hospitals that they that were supposed to have the other 30 million? How have they been able to? How has it been implemented so far?
Yeah, you have very eminent Nigerians. For the victims, you have the former Chief Justice, or Justice Begoro, is there on the letter. They are in a better position to know whether but that's busy because of the caliber of people, they must have at least paid the victims. Then for the hospital, you also saw the committee set up by Kano State government, which Pfizer and the
Sir, are you categorically
Pfizer
saying that the victims were paid? Are you categorically saying the victims were absolutely paid? Because even up until today, we have some reports that some victims
I'm not in a position to know. You see, from the letter that the Kano State wrote to us, they did not give us even a chance to inquire to what happened. You read the letter yourself. I was taken aback, but there was no chance. If you see the meeting of President Yara, he said noted. For me, they did not even give me an information to comment. They say it's for your information and records. Not even necessary action. See, noted. There was nothing we could do. They wrote to us in October 2029 telling us they have reached a settlement. This is the settlement they have reached. They have set up committees. This is the money they have reached a settlement. And they are just informing us and they thank for the support we gave them. Finish. Coming to me as Attorney General, they say the Attorney General is copied just for information and for record. That's all. So we were not in a position to go and know whether this was sufficient. We did not know the criteria in which they arrived at that amount. And there was nothing, under a federation, there was nothing we could do. Haiti is on the concurrent list.
There were rumors that Pfizer
Yes, go ahead.
was. There were rumors that Pfizer was out digging up dirt about you. Did they find anything? And if they did, what did they find?
If they found anything, I would have been in jail now. All they did was to sponsor extreme negative campaign, use a lot of, there's a case in which the same judge who was in Kano came to Calabar, was out of the country, alleged that there was a money about Umbara community. My law firm participated in 1996. My law firm was counsel in the matter. And then when I came in at the general, I paid the money and shared. To a very ridiculous matter, I was out of the country. Damages were inflicted on me. I came in. The matter is still in court. But the good news is that under the Freedom of Information from the Ministry of Justice, the money was paid before I became Attorney General. The money was paid by Chief Bayoju in 2006. And in 1996, which they are alluding, I was a lawyer, a young lawyer practicing in Makurdi. I had never had a chance to go to Akwa Ibom to practice or represent anybody there. The letter from Freedom of Information stated the law firms from the beginning of the case that participated, my name was not there. So the matter is in court. So certainly whatever they tried to obtain when I was representing a member of the unit roads in Rome, was obtained by fraud. So it's before the court, and I would not like to, the document speaks for itself. If you say I paid money, I shared the money, but I was not Attorney General at that time. So this were part of what Kaiser was doing all they could do. In a criminal way, they couldn't get anything. I do not, and I stand bold to say through this media, that since I became Attorney General, I never had a single foreign account. And since I left office to today, I never had a single foreign account. One of the ridiculous accusation against me, Pfizer wrote that I had a bank account in South Africa worth 40 million. Through this that dated worth 40 million pounds. And I wrote both the police here and the Metropolitan Police in London to investigate, and the South African police to investigate. The most ridiculous aspect of the accusation then, I had not even visited South Africa in my life, and I have not visited South Africa till today. And it was ridiculous. So all what they have been doing has come to nothing. But since it became so much, and I was able to get records from records, I got this letter. I am going to write the president that I need protection against this Pfizer. I'm going to write a letter, attach this letter, which is self-explicit. The Kano State got their money, the money never came, so how did I get involved in trying to allude to the fact that I did an improper or surcharge Kano State government? Kano State government got their money, did their negotiation themselves, wrote me for record. How do I get involved? But this was part of campaign, and the simple reason for that campaign was that Pfizer wanted me not to grant fiat again to the criminal matter where the former Vice President Osabajo was prosecuted. They did not want me to do it again and allow the case to die.
Real quick, sir.
To a very ridiculous manner.
Real quick, sir. We only have about a minute.
One of the Pfizer officials.
I need you to answer this in just a minute. The 1996 instance between Pfizer and Kano State was a very ugly one, with people passing away or people losing their senses and all of that. What has been put in place since then, if you are aware, to make sure that this doesn't happen again in Nigeria? People who have access or maybe interest in the health sector are also monitored by bodies here on ground in Nigeria. What has been done since then?
We have done that. We have done that now. Immediately after that, because when you have a matter on the concurrent list, it means if the federal government makes regulations or law, the state regulation becomes morbid, incoherent, because, so what we have done now that no foreign government becomes a federal regulation and law, that you cannot come into the country to go to any state to do an experimental drug, except you obtained approval of the Minister of Health or a designated officer on behalf of the Federal Minister of Health or on behalf of the President of the federal government for you. What I mean federal government is that the executive powers of the federal government, including all ministers, are derived from the powers donated to the president under Section 5 of the Constitution. So for you to do any test again in Nigeria, you must get expressly an approval of the federal government in writing.
So you earlier
so
you
I
answered the question.
Such a thing will not happen.
You answered the question about the lawyer who represented the victims. Who represented Pfizer?
I am not in a position to know because that would have been a breach of interest. My concern was to deal directly only with the lawyer representing the victims.
All right.
Because of the nature and manner Pfizer was interested or trying to blackmail, I was not interested to get involved with them. So I consigned myself interacting with the lawyer representing. And the lawyer representing the victims and Kano State government, the kind of pressure Pfizer was giving to me, I know that if he was not an upright man, he would have not gone ahead to prosecute the matter, to at least to a level that they have achieved something. But there was enormous pressure on both him and me not to proceed with the matter. But
Sir.
I say we must have something. Yes?
Yes. We want to say thank you very much, sir.
I said we must have something.
Yeah, there's a bit of delay.
There's a
What
delay
did you say?
there.
I can't get you.
Finish your thought real quick, sir. Go ahead.
Just go ahead, sir.
I said we vowed, me and the lawyer, Yemi or somebody, just one vowed that Pfizer must get justice. But let me tell you something in practice. A lawyer who is representing a client cannot take a decision on settlement himself. The decision of settlement is always done by the client himself. So whatever that transpired does not involve me as a federal government lawyer. And of course, by extension, the decision to accept that amount is solely that of the Kano State government under the government of Governor Ibrahim Shekau.
Thank you very much,
sir.
This has been very enlightening. We will continue to see how this goes and also follow any little story on this. Thank you indeed.
Thank you. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir.
Also, make the world see this later and try to exonerate me and possibly also the lawyer who represented the victims. We never got involved, kind of negotiated and got what they used to get.
Many thanks to you once again. And that was Mr. Michael Aondoakaa. He is the former Attorney General of the Federation of Nigeria.